Okay, here's the headline that's just exploded everywhere. Stranger Things star David Harbour is apparently facing a catastrophic uh, public relations nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
This is all because his estranged wife, the British singer Lily Allen, just dropped her fifth album, West End Girl.
And it is not just another album.
No way. It's being called a, get this, highly detailed evisceration of their marriage. We're talking really explicit stuff, allegations of infidelity, sex addiction, serious emotional manipulation.
Wow. Quite the storm.
Welcome to Starscope Report.
Hey, everyone. Join Jordan and Jamie as we break down all the Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and, yeah, those influencer scandals, too.
That's right.
Today, we are really diving deep into this West End Girl reckoning. It's a celebrity divorce, sure, but it feels like it's fundamentally reshaping how people see David Harbour, one of Netflix's absolute biggest stars.
It really does feel that way.
We're going to analyze the very specific, reportedly agreed-upon rules of their open marriage. There's this smoking gun detail involving a cigar that's just wild.
I saw that.
And, maybe most telling, a decades-long relationship pattern that Allen's claims seem to, well, confirm, stick around, because this whole situation really shows how one person's silence can completely define the other's narrative in the public eye.
Okay, so let's unpack the catalyst. It's obviously the album, West End Girl, which came out October 2025. And like you said, this isn't just your standard sad breakup album.
No, not at all. Sources are calling it a 14-track therapy session. It seems to meticulously chronicle the whole breakdown leading to their split back in December 2024.
The personal cost behind this, it seems immense. Allen was really open about the album covering her confusion, sorrow, grief, and helplessness.
Yeah, and the psychological impact was clearly severe. I mean, just a month after they separated, January 2025, she checked herself into a trauma treatment center.
Wow.
She even said later in interviews she felt suicidal during that period. Just extreme emotional turmoil.
That's incredibly raw. But what's also fascinating is how strategically she seems to have handled this whole release. She kind of came up in that confessional economy, right? The MySpace era.
Exactly. She knows how to craft and, frankly, control a vulnerable narrative online. And she's framed this whole album very carefully as autofiction.
Autofiction. Explain that a bit.
Well, it's this clever framing device. It gives her both artistic and arguably legal cover. She says the songs were inspired by what went on, but then adds this crucial little caveat, that's not to say that it's all gospel. So it allows her to put out these really, really specific, frankly, eye-popping allegations about cheating and manipulation.
While still having that plausible deniability. It's art inspired by life.
Precisely. The public can absolutely believe the narrative, connect the dots, but she doesn't necessarily have to produce, courtroom-ready proof for every single line. It's incredibly invective.
So you have Allen putting out this incredibly vulnerable, detailed narrative. And on the other side, facing this PR catastrophe, what's David Harbour's response been?
Complete and total public silence. It's a stark contrast. Harbour's persona is much more the traditional, maybe slightly insulated TV star.
Right.
And his strategy seems to be just calculated non-response. He's not engaging at all. His reps decline comment on everything. He even disabled the comments on his Instagram.
Which is basically shouting no comment in the digital age.
It absolutely is. And that silence, it just creates this huge vacuum. Allen's very specific, very visceral story rushes in to fill it, and so her perspective basically wins by default.
That silence becomes even more potent when you look at what the album claims is the core conflict. It wasn't just, simple infidelity. It was the specific breach of their open marriage agreement.
Exactly. That's the crux of it, according to the lyrics.
Yeah.
The betrayal is framed as violating agreed-upon boundaries. There's a track, Tennis, where Allen supposedly lays out the explicit rules they had.
Okay, what are the rules?
Two main ones, apparently. One, any extramarital relationships had to be discreet. Okay, standard enough, maybe. But two, and this is crucial, they had to be with strangers.
Yeah. Strangers. Wow. So the rule was specifically designed to prevent emotional attachment, right? Keep it purely physical, avoid destabilizing the marriage itself.
That seems to be the implication. And that's why the anger in the lyrics, the real fury, isn't just about sex. It's about the alleged emotional investment. The central allegation is that Harbour became, quote, emotionally invested enough to do things like play tennis with them.
Play tennis. That specific detail.
Yeah. It sounds mundane, but tennis in this context seems to signify spending time together, being seen publicly, developing an actual connection.
Which directly violates that fundamental strangers-only rule. It implies depth, not just a casual thing.
Exactly. It's the emotional connection that constitutes the real betrayal here, according to the narrative.
And there's another layer to this. Looking back at how the open marriage even started,
Yeah.
there's a lyric, I think, from the track Dallas Major,
Mm-hmm.
where she sings something like, "My marriage has been open since my husband went astray."
Right. And that line, if taken literally, suggests the whole open arrangement wasn't some kind of mutual progressive choice from the start.
It implies it was a reaction, like damage control after he already cheated initially.
Precisely. Not mutual liberation, but maybe a desperate attempt to manage an existing problem. It adds a much more cynical cast to the whole setup.
Okay, let's move into the specific people and the receipts that the media coverage is pointing to. Because the sources seem to offer pretty detailed validation for Allen's claims about boundaries being broken.
Yeah, the details are quite specific. First, there's this allegation about a costume designer, Natalie Tippett. Harbour reportedly met her back in 2021 on the set of that Netflix movie, We Have a Ghost.
Okay.
And the claim is this wasn't just a fling, it was a multi-year emotional affair. If that timeline is true, it immediately shatters the stranger's rule and points squarely towards that forbidden emotional investment.
Then in the album itself, there's this character, Madeline. She's like the main antagonist in the lyrics.
Right, the lyrical representation of the other woman.
And Allen gets incredibly specific here. She apparently includes lines that seem like actual text messages within the song lyrics.
Including that absolutely jaw-dropping one.
Yeah.
He told me you were aware this was going on. If he's lying about that, then please let me know.
Just,
Yeah.
wow. Putting alleged texts in a song.
It's an astonishing level of detail for something labeled autofiction. Now, Allen does insist that Madeline is a, quote, fictional amalgam of several people.
Which might be strategically necessary, right, to avoid lawsuits while still getting the point across.
Almost certainly. It allows her to condense perhaps the long-term affair, maybe other liaisons, into one single powerful narrative figure that represents the betrayal.
And this specificity, this bringing of receipts, it continues right up to the very end of the marriage. There's the relationship Harbour was linked with almost immediately after the split.
The model, Ellie Beers Fallon, she was 27 at the time. This was February 2025, just weeks after the December separation announcement.
And Allen was reportedly convinced that relationship actually started before they officially split.
Right. And this is where that now infamous smoking gun detail comes in, pulled straight from social media.
The cigar.
The cigar. Weeks before the split was announced, Fallon posted a photo online. In it, she's smoking a cigar. But not just any cigar.
One of Harbour's favorite cigars.
Yeah.
A specific brand or type he's known for.
Apparently so. And crucially, she posted this picture while she was in Atlanta, which is where Harbour was filming at the time.
Oh, come on. That's pretty blatant, if true.
It's the intimacy of that specific object in that specific place at that specific time. As a source close to Allen reportedly put it, kind of rhetorically, how many 26-year-olds smoke cigars?
Yeah, fair point. It's not exactly a common habit for that demographic.
So that detail, the cigar, Atlanta, before the split, was widely interpreted as pretty definitive proof of an overlapped, intimate relationship already being underway.
Okay, so given the sheer weight and detail of all these allegations, Harbour's strategy of just total silence.
Yeah, his calculated non-response.
It's really backfired, hasn't it? It's created this vacuum, and the public seems to be filling it by basically re-examining his entire past through this new, incriminating lens.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating, maybe cautionary tale about crisis management. His only public comment was in this very carefully managed GQ interview in April 2025.
Right, I remember that. It was super vague.
Totally vague. He talked about a lot of change, turmoil. He said he was focusing his energy on his work. You know, standard PR deflection.
Which just looks weak compared to Allen's raw, specific, emotional outpouring.
Exactly. It couldn't stand up to it. And so the public has kind of become digital archaeologists, digging up old interviews, old videos.
Oh, yeah.
And reinterpreting everything through the filter of Allen's claims. The number one example has got to be that Architectural Digest house tour video from 2023.
Oh, yes. The infamous moment where he opens a closet door or something and jokes about a mistress hiding there.
That's the one. He says something like, "I have a family now. You look good, though." Just a throwaway line at the time. Now it's everywhere online, being called out as having aged like sour milk. People are literally saying it was like a trailer for his own cheating scandal. It's brutal.
And it wasn't just that clip. There was also that note he apparently gave Allen once.
Ah, yes, the nasty note, as some outlets called it, about her play, right?
Yeah, it said something like, "My ambitious wife, these are bad luck flowers. Because if you get reviewed well in this play, you will get all kinds of awards, and I'll be miserable, your loving husband.
Which, okay, maybe at the time Alan saw it as dark humor between them, who knows?
But the public now.
The public has completely reframed it as sinister. They're interpreting it as proof of this deep-seated insecurity, maybe even him subtly trying to sabotage her success.
So by staying silent, he's basically lost control of his own history. Alan's autofiction is now the lens through which everything he's ever said or done is being viewed.
It really seems that way. But what's maybe even more eye-opening is how this whole scandal, when you place it against his relationship history,
Yeah.
it seems to confirm a long-standing pattern.
A pattern? What do you mean?
Well, if you look back at his romantic past, before Alan, there's this recurring cycle. It looks like rapid, intense escalation followed almost immediately by a transition to the next relationship.
Okay, lay it out.
Well, early on, there was Maria Thayer. They dated from around 2009 to 2011. There were even engagement rumors. That ended, and he immediately started dating Julia Stiles from 2011 to 2015. Again, engagement rumors swirled there too. A 4-year relationship right after the previous one ended.
Okay, immediate transitions. And what about right before Lily Allen?
That's the really critical overlap timing-wise. He was dating the actress Alison Sudol. Their split was confirmed in August 2019.
Right.
Sources at the time indicated the breakup had actually happened about a month prior to that confirmation. But here's the kicker. Harbour was spotted out on a date with Lily Allen in London in that exact same month, August 2019.
Wow. So confirmation of one split and the beginning of the next relationship happening literally simultaneously in the news cycle.
Pretty much textbook immediate transition, and that same pattern, that whirlwind energy, absolutely defined the start of his relationship with Alan too.
Yeah, they met on the dating app Raya in 2019.
Engaged by May 2020, so less than a year. And then that very fantasy Las Vegas wedding in September 2020, Elvis impersonator, the whole bit.
Right. It started super fast, super intense.
It began with that immediate transition from Sudol, and now, based on Alan's album and these surrounding allegations, it seems like it ended with alleged overlaps during the marriage itself. The pattern holds.
And adding another layer to this pattern, there's the reaction from his exes, specifically Alison Sudol.
Yeah, this was subtle but quite powerful. Sudol, the woman he seemingly transitioned immediately from to get with Alan, apparently showed some low-key support for Alan's West End Girl album. Just a comment in an Instagram section somewhere. But in this context, that quiet validation from one ex about the narrative being put out by the next ex, it was interpreted by many as adding significant credibility to Alan's claims, like a silent nod of understanding.
Fascinating. But maybe the key to understanding all of this, the whole pattern, actually comes from Harbour himself. There's a quote from before he even met Alan.
Yes, this is like the analytical Rosetta Stone for the whole situation. It's from a 2018 interview he gave. He was reflecting on relationships, and he said something incredibly self-aware.
What was the quote?
He said, "I'm easily swept away, but I'm trying not to be as much." Okay, pause there. Easily swept away.
That perfectly describes the rapid escalations, the immediate transitions we just talked about.
Exactly. But then he continues, "I'm better at the fantasy of relationships than I am at the daily real life, but I'm trying to steer myself into a realist."
Whoa! Better at the fantasy than at the daily real life.
That quote just explains so much, doesn't it? The easily swept away covers the serial intensity, the quick commitments, the jumping right into the next romance.
And the Vegas wedding, calling her the people's princess. Yeah. That was the absolute peak fantasy moment.
Totally. But then comes the devastating part, being better at the fantasy than the daily real life. That admission seems to explain the pattern of these intense relationships eventually failing.
And specifically here, maybe it explains the alleged breach of the open marriage rules. The daily real life of actually maintaining those complicated boundaries proved too difficult, and the fantasy collapsed.
That seems to be the core argument emerging from all this. The structure they supposedly built couldn't withstand the pressures of actual day-to-day reality, leading to this massive public and obviously private fallout.
Quite a narrative arc.
So, the situation surrounding David Harbour, it really doesn't feel like some random aberration. It feels more like the culmination of a behavioral pattern he himself acknowledged way back in 2018. It raises a big question, doesn't it? When public figures deliberately build up this kind of fantasy persona around themselves and their relationships, what happens when that fantasy inevitably crumbles and their own past words, their own history, becomes the most powerful evidence used against them?
That's definitely something to think about. You've been listening to Starscope Report. where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood music and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.